So in the previous two videos, I went through my backstory and explained the walls that I've smashed along the way. And today I'm going to talk about realizations and those aha light bulb moments that we get when we break through our walls. And for me, my really big realization recently was being in lockdown and having the realization of, hold on a second, who's running the show here? And I realized that it was my inner child and my inner victim, my inner prostitute and my inner saboteur that were constantly playing in the foreground of my subconscious. Now, these four are our behavior patterns, but they're known as our inner archetypes, and they're our inner archetypes of survival. And if we allow them to really be running the show and be in the foreground of our lives, it can be very, very disruptive. And I'm going to explain to you how that worked for me. So it was like lockdown, really in fear, really in fear. In fact, the last 18 months have been very challenging. 3 years have been really challenging for me. And these on and off, these archetypes have been running the show, but without my real consciousness around them, without me really knowing them, until I read a book by Caroline Miss called Advanced Energy Anatomy, and I highly recommend it. It's a game-changing book that I've listened to 3 or 4 times now. And in it she talks about the 4 archetypes of survival, which I've just mentioned: our inner child, the inner victim, the inner prostitute, and the inner saboteur. Now, the inner child, the inner victim, and the inner saboteur, I guess we really are all familiar with them. But are you familiar with the inner prostitute? How do you prostitute your well-being for circumstances? How do you sabotage your well-being for temptation? How does your inner victim run your show? How does your inner child run your show? So during lockdown, I realised that my inner child was putting me in a state of paralysis because she was too fearful of moving forward, because she didn't feel safe. Actually, before lockdown, because she didn't feel safe, my inner victim was full of blame and real anger and frustration. And she was in fear because she was like, how the freaking hell am I going to survive? How am I going to take care of myself financially in this lockdown? Then my inner saboteur, who has played a part through my whole life, as I'm sure yours has too. She was saying to me, oh, you know what? It's all right. You don't have to connect spiritually this evening. You don't have to do your meditation. Why don't you go and get a box set, go and get a bottle of wine, go and get a big fat bar of chocolate and just, zone out for the night. Just, let all your troubles disappear. And so I realised that they were playing the game, that they were all playing the game, when I sort of like, oh my God, what the... Anyway, so then my inner prostitute was like, yeah, let's prostitute your well-being and carry on with this behaviour. And she ignited my inner warrior. And my inner warrior in turn summoned up a courage that was really, really strong. And I mentioned it in a previous video. Now, with these archetypes and my story comes a conflict, okay? And I'm going to be talking about conflict in my next video.